amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much and remain blessed. Whenever you look my video, whenever you watch my video, share the video to all platforms. Share it to family and friends. Share it in your WhatsApp group so that people can get information on what is happening in the contraption called Nigeria, mainly against the Biafrans, against the Duduas, against the indigenous people in the contraption called Nigeria. I try as much as possible to set the record straight. I don't preach hate speech. I don't speak against people. I set the record straight. The only important thing I do here is to make sure that the plight of the people remains on the front burner and the world will know the true story of what is going on in the contraption called Nigeria.
In Ukraine, but let's understand what's your name and where are you joining this call from?
Oh, my name is Isaac, and I'm joining from Kiev, Irpin Oblast.
Okay, what's the situation? I mean, obviously we can see that we can't see you very well. So where exactly are you at the moment?
Okay, so right now, in the house where we live, I was initially at the basement, but we have a lot of people there, so I had to excuse myself and just to make this call. But I was asked by the house manager to switch off the lights because we are hearing that the Russian troops are already here. So we don't want to draw any attention right now. So that's it.
Okay, so did you try making your way out of Kiev before
Hello?
you got? I can hear you. Did you try making your way out of Kiev? And what was the situation when you tried, if indeed you?
Oh yes, I did try. I did try it several times leaving Kiev, but to no avail. Where I am right now, there is no way I can order a taxi, and there is no bus. There's no movement at all. So I and my friends have been trying to see to make way, but it's impossible. We've not been able to leave where we are right now. So we've been here since yesterday.
All right, so like you said, it's you and your friends. How many of you Nigerians are in the building as we speak?
We are 7 at the moment. 7 of us.
Okay, have you been able to contact other people, maybe your friends who don't live in the house, maybe neighbors or something like that?
We do have just the 7 Nigerians here. 7 of us, we are living here. This is where we live. And then we have Ukrainians as well. So we have Ukrainians who joined us yesterday.
All right, so we've been hearing, we've also been having reports of the fact that people get to the border and then they're turned back. Did you experience any of such?
I have friends. I have friends, and I'm keeping in touch with some of them who have been to Lviv and they are heading towards the border. But I've not been able to contact any to know if they've been if they are in Poland right now, because what we are hearing is that when they get to the border, you have to submit your passport and then you'll be allowed to stay for 15 days, and then after 15 days you will have to return. So probably after now, I'll try to get in touch with some of my colleagues and friends to see if they have been able to enter Poland successfully.
All right. We also had reports of racial profiling. Did any of that happen to you?
Oh no, I did not experience such.
Oh, okay, but did you get any reports, or did anybody mention that to you?
No, I didn't hear anything like that.
Okay, so again, let me just hold you there for a bit. We have other people joining the conversation at the moment. Again, this is a live channels television chat with Nigerians abroad, some in Ukraine, some in Poland, and also some in Nigeria. We have Dr. Victor Bamishaye, he's joining us from Abuja. We have Dr. Tade Omotosho, he's joining us from Poland, and Timothy Adegbile, who is joining us from Kiev. Timothy, let's get to hear your own experience. Again, just give us a background. What have you experienced so far since all of this brouhaha has started?
Okay, can you hear me very well?
Yes, please, I can hear you.
Thank you for the opportunity. So, I'm currently in Lviv right now. I'm based in Lviv. And the situation in Ukraine has been quite tense and very tough, especially from people coming from the eastern axis and southern axis. We in the western cities like Lviv, Ternopil, and Uzhgorod, they've been kind of relatively calm. But because of the traffic of people coming into, it's been a bit like frantic. Currently now, students and Nigerians are trying to make their way out of Lviv through the Polish border. But there are several points of crossing, but they are not really letting the Nigerians leave through all the points. Currently, there's only one point out of those seven that is still is still allowing people to leave. That's one challenge. So people that have gone to other points, and you know how far the border is. So they went there and they trekked for maybe 1 hour, 2 hours on getting to the border. Now they could not enter, they could not pass through. So now they're basically like stranded and have to walk back to civilization. And now the issue is that they can't get vehicles to take them back to the city or take them to another border crossing. So it's quite tough and it's quite challenging. And some people have been able to beg good Samaritans to help. But imagine you are in a group of 20, you cannot really get vehicles to take 20 people. So, and you won't want to leave some people behind. And so it's been very tough for them. We have some students and some foreigners that have been able to actually cross to Poland, and they are also waiting to be taken to the airport and also to be processed. But most of the people didn't want to leave yesterday night. Like now, for example, someone left around maybe 8 p.m. and the person arrived at 6 a.m. They literally walked throughout the whole night just because of the fact that there was huge traffic. So they walked for about 15 kilometers, and on getting there, they had to wait for extra 2 hours on getting there before they could enter and before they could pass through. So in the city, the situation is calm actually. There is no shelling going on in Lviv right now. Everything is calm. All the amenities are working. There's food in the stores. You can like go by. But if you're coming from a different city, it's going to be tougher because there aren't places to stay. Hotels, hostels, like accommodations have been booked. So it's basically like once you come, you have to go to the border. And now the border is congested and the border is not letting people pass like very freely. So that's quite frantic. So now the advice to some people in cities that are safe is that they should remain for a while. Let the decongestion happen and they should also still come. But if you don't have any choice, you can still come around. But also like the Nigerian community has been rallying around and trying to see how we can help, how we can relocate people, how we can provide advice, but there's so much we can do from this side. We also need help from the other side. And okay, there have been some helps. Like the Nigerians in Poland have actually been very helpful. But we've not really gotten like official assistance from like the Nigerian Commission in Poland and also the embassy in Kyiv. They have not been so on top of it as we would like. Though we expect it being in the Nigerian embassy, but they could do better. Because if your country is at the border crossing, it will help to make things quite faster. You're muted.
Any contacts? Has there been any contacts, with the embassy so far?
Okay, yeah, there have been contacts severally. Some people have been designated to speak with them and relay information back. But like now, the embassy in Kyiv, they can't do anything to help. The only thing they've said so far is that remain calm. If don't go to areas that you feel will affect your safety and just try to protect yourself. That's the only thing they've actually said. Then on the Nigerian end, there's been some chatter from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that they're working on some sort of evacuation. We don't know where, we don't know how, but that's what we've heard. Then from the Polish end, there've also been some like Nigerian, maybe not officials now, but like some Nigerians that have been like helping out in the whole relocation process and providing like their addresses for people to use for documentation at the border and stuff like that, and just trying to give assistance in the way they can. But from the embassy, it's basically just take care of yourselves. We can't really help you now, but We hope you are fine.
All right. Of course, that hope is what will keep almost everybody alive, hopefully, and everyone will be fine. But let's quickly get to Dr. Tade Omotosho, who is, on the other end of the border. That's in Poland this time around, waiting, and hopefully that people would come in and he could be of help. Dr. Tade, what's the situation from your own points? Are people crossing in? What's the situation? What's going on at the borders as we speak?
Yeah, thank you, Victor, for having me. Yeah, okay. On our part, the Nigerians in Diaspora Organization Poland, we are on standby, and we are willing to, help as many people that succeed in, crossing over to Poland. We've been providing addresses. I've personally given out my, my phone number, so, people can reach me directly from the, from the border. However, the challenge we have is that, it's been quite difficult to even get to the border. I spoke to a student this morning alongside 30 of her colleagues. They were literally stopped by the Ukrainian military, at the Ukrainian border. They were not able to actually leave Ukraine, completely to get to the Polish border. So, I think that's a major challenge we're having. And I think it would be really helpful if the Nigerian embassy in Ukraine can actually find a way they can assist these Nigerians to get to the Polish border. We are on ground. As I speak to you, I'm 3 hours away from the border. And, we'll be willing to do whatever we can to make sure we get as many of them that are able to cross to this side to get over to town. We're going to be providing transport by, tonight and tomorrow. We have accommodation available. And I just spoken to the consular, the Nigerian embassy consular here as well. And I think they're also willing to support. So we're on ground to help. I've spoken to a number of people today. But I haven't been able to reach anyone who has successfully crossed over to get to Poland. So if there's anybody out there that is able to, confirm that they are already within the borders of Poland, we are willing to get them over to the city and get them, settled in.
So yeah, I mean, it's good that you mentioned, because I was going to ask you, what's as it stands, how many people have you been able to help move, or how many have been able to cross from Ukraine into Poland? But you already answered that. So I'll hold you there for a bit and go over to Dr. Victor Bamishaye, who is joining us from Abuja. Used to be the president association, student association at a point in Ukraine. Dr. Victor, what's the situation? I mean, you were in Ukraine when there was a lot of issues going on, especially with the Crimea situation. What was crossing over from, Crimea, because you had to move from Crimea, I think, to Lviv or thereabout? What was the situation then? How easy was it? And are there any similarities with what, was witnessed then with what is going on now?
I think the situation now is more dire. It's more complicated, and it's difficult now, because then when we're crossing from Crimea into the mainland and as such, it was easier for the Ukrainians to take us in, and also for the Russians who were at the Kherson border to allow us in. But now you're dealing with people crossing from Ukraine into the European Union, right? A European Union country. And so the dynamics are a bit more different. Then we had, it was about 28 hours by train from Crimea to Lviv that I moved to, and that's where people are moving to right now. But it was a train. At least you knew you could sit in the train and then arrive. But now people get to walk from Lviv, for 2 hours to the border, and are not even sure of what their what their fate would be. I'm aware that certain people might find it easier if, for instance, they've had a European Union visa before, and it will be more difficult for those who just have a passport. But like the guy, Dr. Timothy from Lviv said, we need the Nigerian embassy to speak to the neighboring countries, countries like Slovakia, like Czech Republic, like Poland, and also there's this one more that just went off the top of my head now. If we can speak to them and send, representatives to these borders, it will be easier to, to ease movement, because again, the idea of movement is also for identify those who are coming in, and also, to be responsible for them, because as much as it's an humanitarian crisis, Europeans do not joke with identification, and so it will be it will be much easier if we have Nigerian representatives at these borders helping. And so, for Dr. Daniel, I know a few Nigerians who have been able to cross over, and I will be in touch with him. He's been doing a very good job since his inception, since he came in as the chairman of the Nigerian diaspora in Poland. And so, for anybody who is in Ukraine or who might be watching now, he's a very good resource person to reach now. And like he has told you, he's moving from Warsaw right now to go to the border himself. So he's going to be leading from the front there to help to help people coming in. And for those who are in Ukraine, the advice would be around people. And many Nigerian students in Ukraine do not actually speak Russian or Ukrainian at all. And so this is a time to be around students in groups. Don't be isolated. And the idea is that many Nigerian students like to live in flats. And so that means sometimes they are probably the only Nigerian or probably the only group of foreigners within their flat. And so this is a good time to go to the hostels or, be in communication with your universities. There are many buildings in Ukraine that have bunkers, right, where you can be bomb-proof, right, where you can stay for and be safe. I think like Mr. Engineer Isaac had mentioned earlier, the house where he is now, there's a bunker, and he's in a community of people he trusts and that can take care of him. And so that's essential at this time. And so hostels stay with people. And if you go to the border, please don't go alone. It's quite a...
All right, I think network is hampering Dr. Victor Bamishai from
one can do for now. But in terms of comparison, did you lose me?
Yeah, we lost you for a bit, but
yeah.
Let me just hold you for a bit. Let me take some comments from our social media streams. I can see a lot of comments coming in. Ezekiel Holu Michael says, there's a lot of food shortage, I think he's trying to say. But Zara says, we are stuck here in Ternopi, no means of transportation to move to Lviv. Another one again says, well, there's just a potpourri of messages coming in, pretty much, very much. Someone is even talking about the transportation. But Dr. Timothy, let me ask you, I mean, for those who might even have the opportunity to, access transportation, what is the cost? At what cost do they access transportation at this point in time?
Okay, so we've had varying reports, but like from Kyiv to Lviv now, we've had reports of about like $40 to come, $30, $50 approximately right now. It's been cheaper in some places, and also some have even set inflated costs. Like I had a report from a student. He said that they were trying to extort $1,000 from him to come to Lviv. So, it gets kind of crazy at a point in time, but it's around $40 to $50 right now to come. And when you are in Lviv, to be able to get to the border also, you're paying close to $20 to $30 approximately to get there if you're taking a cab or you're taking a bus to get to the border.
Which information we should go with, or which one is right? Like, it's becoming very, very confusing. Yes, I want to save myself as much as possible. If Poland is the right thing for me to do right now so I can go back to Nigeria and allow things to die down, then I would like to take it. But media, people are using media for the wrong things, spreading wrong information, rumors and all, and it's really, really becoming a problem for us. We don't know which is right anymore.
And that was Temitayo Kolawole giving, her experience. And she talked about Nigerians who are trying to go through Poland. And
that was a little bit of that was a mix in transmission. That was our stream from the TV coming into the stream. Of course, like you heard, that was one of the students stranded in Ukraine, also giving her own experience as to what she's going through in Ukraine. But unfortunately, again, Engineer Zeke, so let me come back to you. Speaking about experiences, you seem to be where, I mean, we can't even see you at all. So how are you surviving? Because if your lights are off, how stuck is your reservoir? Because it seems you cannot go out. If you can't even turn on your lights, how stuck are you in terms of food and water and supplies? How long do you see this continuing for?
Hello?
Yeah, fortunately, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, how long I don't know, but I have food to sustain at least for a few days. But I really don't know how long this will last, and I just hope that it doesn't pass this week, because I don't know how.
We can hear you, Fortune. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't speaking, actually. I think that was Engineer Zix.
Oh, okay. All right, let's even hear from you, Fortune. What's your own situation?
Now sustain me up till next week.
I didn't hear you.
Okay, let me just go. I'm not in Ukraine.
Okay.
My younger sister is, and I've been communicating with her for the past few days, trying to, in fact, before things got to this point, we're trying to get her a ticket. Because prior to that, we were waiting for, Nigeria to give the confirmation or, give a statement saying Nigerians in Ukraine, it's time for you to leave. That's just what we're waiting for. So that, in case of necessity, if you have to go back, you have the backing of the government, that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, it got to this point where people had to run away from Ukraine, and initially she was in a bunk, I think a metro station. They were camped there waiting for a train, and they couldn't get one. They had to go back home. And
like we've been speaking to you, the latest developments coming in from Ukraine, talking to some Nigerian students, some Nigerians who are stranded in Ukraine. Our technology correspondent is online speaking with a few of them, and he has the latest. Let's go over to him now. Big Tim Mathias.
Thank you very much, Amarachi, as well as Millicent. Like you said, I mean, it's just so much going on. And I've been monitoring that as well online. We're having this Zoom meeting right now with Nigerians in Poland, in Ukraine, some who have been in Poland before and are now back in Nigeria. But it's just been a potpourri of conversation and reactions as well. So the Zoom is streaming as well on our Facebook page right now. It's also streaming on YouTube, so people can go watch, and they're dropping comments. People are complaining about their inability to get tickets, to get transportation from one point to the other. But just before you came to me now, I was speaking with Fortune Agu, who was telling us about what is going on with his sister, who is currently in Ukraine. They've been trying to get her flight tickets to come back to Nigeria. But I think it's just best we hear from Fortune. Fortune, so again, like you were telling us just moments ago, what was the situation when you tried to get your sister out of the country?
I think it was already a bit too late because we wanted her to fly out today, but we couldn't get flights. And, by the time we woke up on Thursday, it was a whole different situation. People were leaving. Ukrainian citizens were already running out of the country. As of now, she's on her way to Romania. I know a lot of Nigerians are heading towards Lviv so they can get to Poland, but she couldn't get a ticket to go on to Lviv, and the train that arrived was heading towards I think they call it Rakiv or something, and that goes to Romania. So she had to jump on that train. The last time I spoke to her, she was like, there were so many people at the train station. To even get into the train is a problem. So you could have the money to buy the tickets, but you can't even get into the train. And I was on a Twitter space where talking about how to help Nigerians, those heading to Poland, those heading to Romania. And so many people, wonderful people, they gave a lot of suggestions, Nigerians at Warsaw, but we haven't really heard much about from Nigerians in Romania. We tried to communicate with the embassy, but we couldn't get feedback from them, sent them emails, but they've not responded. Recently, we got an information on Twitter. I don't know how legit it is, that we should send their passport number and their names and a passport data page to them. I don't know what they want to do with that, but we have been waiting. They're on the train now. It's a 14-hour train from Kyiv to Rakiv. So they can.
Yeah, let's hope they get to the destination, safely and soundly. But let me also bring back Dr. Tade Omotosho, who is on the other end, because we talked about some people who are waiting and being there on standby, hoping that people will cross over into Poland so that they can offer help. Dr. Tade Omotosho, again, let me just get an understanding as it is now. How many people have crossed over, and what is the situation? On the Polish side, what are the plans being made by Nigerians to ensure that those who cross over have a safe and a soft landing?
Yeah, thank you, Matthias, Victor. Between the last time I spoke, that's like 10, 15 minutes ago, a number of people have reached me again, and I have updated information that about 7 people have been able to cross over the border. They are currently, and of course, like you would imagine, there will be need for some, documentation. There will be need for.
I'm afraid we're losing his thoughts. That's due to
them
internet.
To provide.
I'm afraid we're losing him due to internet. But Victor Bamshai, give us a background. Like you said earlier on, what's the situation? How was it easy
Which
to
from
move?
our end, we're already.
Yeah, we lost you for a bit. Let me just hold you there for a bit and just get some thoughts from Dr. Victor Bamishai. You were there during the Crimea situation. How was the movement? What do you think Nigerians should be doing now, to be safe and to be to be safe and to be in good condition as all of this is happening?
Yes, let me say for Dr. Tade, is traveling to the border right now so that he can, be able to manage things from the front. So that's why he's having network glitches as he travels. But like I said earlier, this is a much different situation from the Crimean incident, because we're traveling from the peninsula to the mainland. But right now you have people traveling from all over the country to different parts of the border, or at least border cities. And so the way to be safe at this time is to get yourself within groups of people. Don't stay isolated. During the Crimean and the Donbass is the Donetsk region, and the Lugansk, when they were initially separated, we had cases of Nigerian students being kidnapped. They came to their homes and kidnapped them. And it took a lot of negotiations and diplomacy to get them released, but that was not without torture. So we wouldn't want a repeat of that. And so if you are in groups of people, it's much easier, to signal and also to be safe. And please stay within houses or apartments that have bunkers. And so this is why it's wise to stay within hostels. There are many hostels, most of the hostels in Ukraine are equipped with bunkers, and bunkers are known to be bomb proof. So right now, it's advisable, like I said, to communicate and be within groups, especially knowing that many Nigerian students in Ukraine do not actually speak the local language, which can be Russian or Ukrainian many times. And at this point in time, if you are going to go to the border, please don't go alone. Make sure you are in groups of people, and make sure you at least have good, battery life at the time you are going to start, because it can be quite a strenuous journey of, trekking many times for between 2 to 4 hours. Some people have even reported themselves to have trekked for 7 hours. So for whatever might be happening, you want to have, you know, your device on to be able to communicate to people who are.
Oh, okay, all right. So let me hold you there for a bit and go back to the studio where Amarachi and Millicent are, of course, giving more updates, you know, from their end. Amarachi, this is what has been going on the Zoom Hangout, and of course, there are also more messages streaming on our Facebook Live as it is right now, and also on the YouTube. But at this point, I would just have to hand over back to you guys in the studio, and of course, this will continue, so people can also still join us. It's live on our Facebook, and it's also live on YouTube as well. It's back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Victor. Matthias there. You're watching Channels Television, the coverage of the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
All right, again, so that was just a cutting into the television side. We're back on the Zoom to continue again. So, Dr. Tade, you were saying something earlier on, and Victor was trying to explain that because of the trip you're making, so internet is kind of breaking here and there. So yes. Just give us an update again. You said as of now, about 7 people have crossed into the border.
Yes, about 7 people have been able to cross into the border, although they are being held at the border control facility. You know, as you would expect, you know, you can't just come in and they let you go right away into the city. So they needed to be processed. And from the information we have, there's going to be about couple of, you know, hours of sort of documentation, you know, maybe some kind of interview as well before they are being allowed, you know, to leave. But what we're doing on our part is to, you know, crowdsource or gather addresses where, you know, these people can, the addresses they can provide, you know, so that the immigration can let them go. Because from what we understand, they already made a provision to have a camp, you know, at the somewhere around the border area where people can actually be, you know, kept for a while, you know. So what we're doing is I'm about 2 hours away now from the border. Once we get there, I would hopefully have more information on what's going on, and then we'll be able to, you know, provide more information. But we are, like I said, we're on top of it. Tomorrow we'll be getting some buses down to the border to be able to help those that have been fully processed. You know, we don't know exactly how long it's going to take, but for sure, I understand some people have been there since yesterday night and they haven't been released, you know, so when we do not have access to them, you know, but we'll keep you know, passing across whatever information we have from our end. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Dr. Timothy, let me come back again to you. Again, you are also kind of stuck where you are, but what are your supplies like? How are you going to survive? Are you alone where you are right now?
Okay, currently I'm not alone. We are 3 of us that are here. We kind of stayed behind for 2 reasons: to help those that are also coming in and to make sure that everyone is out before we leave. So it would be like kind of the last people to go. But we are stocked up. We have supplies actually, because like it's been a long time coming. So in a way, we've kind of prepared for it. And in my locality, some stores are still opened. So there's still the possibility of getting things as we speak now. Because like I said earlier, the city is calm. But yeah, that's the situation with food currently.
All right, very well. Engineer Zeeks, what's the situation on your part? I mean, you tried to say something earlier on, but I'm not sure we got that part. How are you surviving? What's the situation? Can you go out to get supplies, or what exactly? How stocked up are you?
Okay, I'm so sorry. My connection is really bad over here, so I had to come down to the basement. So right now I'm in the basement. So as of food, I just have a little that will sustain me just for a few days, but I'm just hoping that this doesn't continue, because I don't know if I can go to the magazine to get stuff, because I've not been out for since yesterday. I've not been out, so I don't know if the magazines are still, if the shops are still working. So that's it. I just hope that everything just will be fine, so we could go back to our normal lives. Yeah.
Awesome. Fortune, on your own part, have you heard from your sister? Any news? Was the update? Have they gotten to their destination? I know you said it's a 14-hour train ride, but is there any means of communication as it is right now?
Yes, we've been communicating with her. There's still internet, so we've been communicating with them. The last time we spoke, I asked her to send her details to the Nigerian embassy at Romania because they requested for it. Hopefully, they will communicate with the Romanian government so that Nigerians coming in, will be able to be processed and brought in. Because Indians, from what we hear, Indians already set up camp at the border so that there are people coming in, can be processed quickly and taken to shelter. So I'm hoping that the Nigerian embassy is working on something like that too, so that they can receive Nigerian students heading towards Romania.
Okay, so has there been any contact? What's it like? What's the contact with? Because it seems the center of attraction has been Ukraine. Has there been any form of communication, which you actually mentioned earlier on, but has there been any form of communication with now sister countries, border countries? Victor Obama, Dr. Obamshayi actually listed some, but your sister is heading to Ukraine. Now, what's been the form of communication, maybe between you or your sister, if she's maybe not traveling alone, with those in Romania, be it maybe Nigerians in Romania or even the embassy in Romania?
Yes, the embassy in Romania, I've been trying to call them, but we weren't able to reach them. So we sent emails on their website. We got their email address and we sent them emails concerning the situation and all that. And I reached out to a friend that was in Romania some years ago, but he left Romania. So he's trying to fix me up with someone that is in Budapest right now. But we are still waiting for them to at least get to the border so we'll know the next stage, because if they can't pass through the border, then all these arrangements make no meaning. So I think the most important thing now is the Nigerian embassy actually going there, being there or communicating with the Romanian government, the border patrol, communicating with them and giving them, should I say, an instruction to let Nigerians in, at least to transit from there back home, back to Nigeria.
All right, let's hope that all of this contacts you're digging and calling, let's hope that, it brings about, positive results. But let me again come back to Timothy. Timothy, what's the situation like? What's the embassy saying? And we're also hearing reports that people are being conscripted into the army, because we understand people from the ages of 18, between the ages of 18 and 60 are not being allowed to leave the country. What's the situation? Are they truly conscripting even Nigerians into the Ukrainian army to defend the sovereignty of the country?
Okay, so for the issue of conscription, they are not, at the moment, they're not conscripting like foreigners. It's just the Ukrainian citizens. Their article doesn't provide for foreigners yet. It's still a very long process. So it's for Ukrainians, and currently they are also conscripting those who are able-bodied, are even above the age of 60 at the moment, because they say they need reinforcement. For the embassy, we've still not heard any new information. The last time we heard from them was in the morning around 10 a.m. and it was the same blank message. But since then, we've not heard any information. And it's sad to say, but it's like a pattern. We always hear the same thing over and over again. Even when there was an incident in the city not too long ago, it was the same thing that happened. There was so much news on social media. Different blogs were calling them out till then before they sent someone to come to Lviv. So we understand that these are times of war, but the communication is not as fluid as it can be. And we are hoping that maybe they are watching this and maybe they are also trying, because their excuse was that the embassy of Lviv serves about 8 countries and that they are stretched, that they don't have enough staff. That was what they said. that's why that they don't communicate as fast as they should. I don't know if that's the case, but if they can do something, it will help the people that are stranded, and it will help like moving things faster. Like we said about the Indians, we heard that they've set up like camps in about 6 different border crossings, like that. So we don't know how true it is, but like this is like forward, like it will even get the people to be calm, and there will be less panic because they know that okay, once I get there, there's something. Now, some people while we were speaking, some people were calling me now and asking me that okay, where we are on our way, what should we do? I couldn't give them a very certain answer. I said, okay, just.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you and remain blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.